What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob coming in with a Week 16 matchup preview for the New York Giants playing away at Minnesota on this Christmas Eve. Really looking forward to this game because you're seeing the Giants come off a huge win. Also, the Vikings coming off a monumental comeback last weekend versus the Colts, where they were down 33-0 at one point this game and came back and won in overtime. So the Vikings, as much as they could ever go down, they'll never be out, and this is a prime example of that, as this was the biggest comeback in NFL history against Matt Ryan, who is the Colts quarterback, who also blew the 28-3 lead versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So tough scene for Matt Ryan. It's got to be the end of him. Pretty overrated career for him anyway. The Minnesota Vikings are led by quarterback Kirk Cousins, who I believe is third in their all-time wins now, which is kind of crazy to believe because I still feel like he was on other teams, and the Vikings did have other quarterbacks for a while too, but this goes to show you that they haven't had success. So when people talk about, not wanting to re-sign Daniel Jones, you can end up in this weird quarterback limbo where you're getting older guys and you have to pay them a lot, and hopefully they could have had the success for your franchise that Kirk Cousins has had for the Vikings. Also at running back for the Vikings is running back Dalvin Cook, who has over 1,000 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. He has a lot of success on the ground, and I'm sure you'll see that again versus the Giants, as really don't do the best at stopping the run. Our linebackers are kind of almost non-existent to a certain point, and the Giants just released Tay Crowder after the game last week. So he's gone, and that leaves us with 2 linebackers in McFadden and Jalen Smith. So we're really going to need to have guys on that defensive front step up. I mean, obviously Dexter's done an amazing job, so I don't even know what more he could do. But at this point, it's not really on the, that D-line. It's more of the linebacking core that needs to get in there. And, hey, maybe you'll see some more Landon Collins in the box, and hopefully that he could play and step into that role as much as we need him to begin to really stop the run at Week 16. I don't know. Here we are. We're still having the same issues as earlier in the year, but we've survived. And, of course, at wideout, the Minnesota Vikings have Justin Jefferson, who is an absolute X-factor. If you haven't seen that one-handed catch that he had against the Bills, go back and watch it. It's one of the best catches in NFL history, and I personally believe it's better than Odell's one-handed catch because of the impact that it had in that game. I think it was 4th and 18 or something along those lines, a preposterous 4th down play where Kirk Cousins just chucks it up, and it really still makes no sense how Justin Jefferson even caught this pass. And it just goes to show you how of elite wide receiver he is, and he's on such a different level than anyone else in the game right now with over 1,600 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. The Giants have to watch it a lot. I don't even know if you're the Giants secondary coach, what kind of speech do you give to this game? You still have Adoree Jackson out, probably not playing. Xavier McKinney's out, probably not playing. What do you do to get these other guys like Julian Love, who's had a pretty good year so far, and then you got what's his name, Fabian Moreau, and the other guy, McLeod, running around out there. What do you say to these guys at this point to try and, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, motivate them? Or I guess it's a bad, phrase to use for an NFL player. They're already motivated, especially these younger guys that are playing for roster spots next year. But when you're going against Justin Jefferson, it's a completely different game plan. Wink Martindale, he has been bringing the pressure a lot. It's his MO. So I think you're going to have to see a lot more blitzes to ensure that Kirk Cousins can't really set his feet. Obviously, Kirk Cousins can't really scramble. So as much as we could get him just bringing pressure like we did off the edge, last week what we saw that Wink brought against the Commanders, the Giants should have a pretty good shot of trying or attempting to slow down this very explosive Vikings duo between Cook and Jefferson. Touching on the Giants, Saquon had a great week last week, especially in the fourth quarter on that final drive where he had about, 5-6 rushes for about 50 yards, give or take a little bit less. And it just showed his, elusive ability and making plays and putting the team on his back. And when the Giants didn't get to that point, that's where he is most valuable to us, right? We make the Washington Commanders burn timeouts. We're getting first downs on the ground, chewing up clock. and this is what the Giants need to do to be successful. I would like to see us take another step forward offensively compared to where we were last week. Obviously, Graham Gano hit a bunch of great field goals. We only translated to putting 7 points on the board offensively. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau had that amazing strip sack score, which got us, another touchdown. But I don't want to go out on a limb and say that our defense or special teams needs to, score 14 points a week for us to be successful. That's just unsustainable, and that's not going to get it done. So I really want to see the offense take a step forward this week, as the Vikings defense isn't all too great, or hasn't been playing all too inspiring of late. And I listen to Boomer and Gio all the time, and Giannotti always talks about how bad their pass defense. Is he just saying that to shit on his team, even though they're 11-3, or are they actually bad? And they are 7-1 at home, so that's something to keep in mind of. That game is home, and it's on the turf indoor field there. So from a passing perspective, Daniel Jones has been finding small windows to throw. I just did the review of the Commanders game yesterday, and he put one in between Richie James and two secondary folks for a first down, which is a great throw. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else he could do, as Isaiah Hodgins has been more comfortable in this offense. I think it was a fumble against the Seahawks or the Lions or whatever where he fumbled it and kind of lost the game, but he's really fit into his role. Bellinger's back a little bit more healthy, so he could get his legs underneath him again. Darius Slayton, I don't think did all too much last week, but he's still an option there and can beat a burnable secondary. Obviously the Richie James tour can continue. I would like to see him score maybe a primetime touchdown, not some garbage time stuff. But again, for the Giants offense, we're going to have to pass the ball to be successful to beat the Vikings. There is one crazy stat about the Vikings and how they're 11-3 that my buddy turned me on to, is if you look at their points per game, they average 25.1 points per game, and they allow 24.9 points per game. So it's just as even as you can imagine, which is kind of crazy when you think about that they're 11-3. How is that kind of possible? The data is just showing that, they do play very, very close games, and the Giants usually play close games for the most part as well. I'm liking the Giants getting 3.5 on the road here. And again, similar to Terry McLaurin's over receptions and props, I'm probably looking at that for Justin Jefferson as well, because he's even better than Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin kind of did those receptions and yards props with ease. So I'd probably look to do that again until the Giants can prove that they could stop an X-Factor superstar wide receiver. I was just doing some research for this game, and I saw the Vikings social media posted out that this was a whiteout game at home. So I'm just going to jump over to that clip really quickly, because it's actually kind of lit, and it's funny, and there's some great Kirk Cousins in it too. So not that we have a huge rivalry with the Vikings, but I gotta laugh out of it, and it is pretty cool. Pretty electric promo here for the winter whiteout. I think all these teams, social media teams, have done a really good job stepping it up.
Heavy snow. Single-digit highs. Sub-zero wind chill.
More snow, more ice. Get him his chains.
This is hilarious and awesome at the same time. Oh my God, the spitter necklace.
Oh my.
The winter whiteout.
Oh my.
Kirk Cousins just makes me laugh. So regardless, I'm taking the Giants this week, those Jefferson props, and then I'm going to end this video with a trailer from the 2016 Monday Night Football game that was actually pretty electric and still kind of pumps you up, even though the characters have changed. I think the sentiment hasn't, and there's just new characters in this crazy game of football, and let's see how it shakes out on Christmas Eve. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, y'all.
Vikings at 8:15 Monday on ESPN.